tutorial for the Happy Days Nikki Drawstring Storage Bag. It's a lovely little bag. It has ribbons to draw it close, which creates a lovely frill at the top, and it has box corners, and this is how you make it. You will need fabric for the lining and fabric for the outer. I've used fat quarters. You'll need 2 toddles and you'll need some ribbon, and this is how you make it. We'll start by making the linings. Take your 2 lining fabrics that you've cut out and place right sides together. Line up the edges and the sides and then clip or pin into place. Once you've clipped it into place, take it to the sewing machine and using a 1/4 inch seam allowance, sew all the way down there and stop. Along the bottom just to there and stop, and leave a gap for turning. Start again there and sew to there, and then finally sew all the way up to there and stop. Do not sew either of the box corners. I've sewn the lining all down there and across the bottom, and I've remembered to leave a gap at the bottom for turning. And now I'm going to box the corners, and you do that by opening up along here and matching up the bottom seam and the side seam first of all. I'll pop a clip and I clip either side. And repeat for this one as well. And then we're going to take it to the sewing machine and use a 1/4 inch seam allowance, sew all along there. This is how the bottom of your bag should look now we've boxed the corners. It's still got the gap there for turning, and I'm going to put this to one side while we work on the outer of the bag. Now we're working on the outer of the bag. Take your 2 outer pieces that you've cut out and place them right sides together and line up the bottom and sides. The next thing you do is measure from there to there 4 centimetres and make a mark. I've made a big mark. You haven't got to make it that long, it's just so you can see it on camera. And then from there to there is 6 centimetres and make another mark. And do the same for this side. And this is where the channeling will go for the ribbon. And now I'm going to clip it together. Once you've clipped it, I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and I'm going to start there and stop at that line. Start again at that line and continue down to the bottom. So all the way across the bottom, then back up here to that line and stop. Start again there and stop. Make sure that you do not sew between the 2 lines, and also do not sew the box corners. I've sewn all the way around, remembering to leave a gap either side, and now I'm going to box the corners, same as we did the lining. So place your hands in between, line up the side seams, line up the 2 there, and when you're happy, pop a clip and one either side. And as we did before, using a 1/4 inch seam allowance, sew along there and repeat for this side. Once you've boxed both corners, it's time to turn the bag the right way. Once you've turned it the right way, press it with your iron and then measure 4 centimetres from this edge to there and draw a line right across, and then measure from there to there 6 centimetres and draw a line right across. Use a heat erasable pen as I have, and the iron will take the line away afterwards. And repeat for the other side. Now we're going to put this outer inside the lining, which, if you remember, I asked you to leave the wrong way, and that is correct. I put the outer inside the lining, and so they're right sides together. I've lined up these 2 side seams, and I've lined up the top edges, and I've clipped all the way around. I'm going to take it over to the sewing machine and, using a 1/4 inch seam allowance, sew all the way around, joining the outer with the lining. I've sewn all the way around, joining the lining to the outer. And now I'm going to turn it the right way by pulling it through the gap we left at the bottom. I've sewn up the gap in the lining, and I've tucked the lining inside, and I've pressed it carefully, avoiding the lines we drew because it will erase them. And now I'm going to take it over to the sewing machine, and I'm going to sew all along those black lines all the way around. And I'm going to do the same for that line as well, and this will form the channeling for the ribbon. It's very important that you're only sewing the 2 layers, not all the way through, so you're sewing all the way around. Once you've sewn your channeling, you can take it to the iron and press your lines away. And now the last thing is to thread your ribbon. Put a safety pin on the end of your ribbon and then thread through the gap we left. Thread the ribbon into one side of the channeling and push all the way through and exit the same place, and then thread the ends through your spring toggle. And repeat for the other side. And that's your Nikki Drawstring Storage Bag complete.